Nostradamus predicted, only 3 zodiac signs will become rich in 2026. Predictions for the year. I am revealing what many prefer to discuss only in whispers. Nostradamus's ancient writings contain an encrypted reference to 3 signs that will experience such a powerful financial breakthrough in 2026 that it will change their personal trajectory of development. These are not symbolic formulas or abstract hints. This is a specific vector that will affect only the chosen ones. I run this channel to pass on to you knowledge that has been preserved for centuries, and today is the moment to reveal the key to one of the most sensational predictions of the great seer. 2026 will not be just another year for those who enter this triangle of wealth. Their opportunities will expand dramatically. Events will begin to unfold aggressively in their favor, and financial decisions will carry weight they have never felt before. I will show why these signs will gain access to powerful material resources and what role their inner energy, character, and path, formed long before the present time, will play in this. Before I name each of these 3 signs, make sure you are subscribed. This way, you won't miss new analytical reviews that will help you use this knowledge as accurately as possible. Write your sign in the comments. I see the activity of each of you and take it into account in future issues. Let's begin. Aries. For Aries, 2026, according to the prophetic interpretations associated with Nostradamus, is described as a period when the energy of this sign will finally be monetized as harshly and tangibly as possible, without half-tones or compromises. And it is the representative of Aries who is among the conditional trio of those who are capable of reaching a completely different level of prosperity if they use the year correctly. The financial scenario begins in the first weeks, when specific opportunities arise to increase income through additional work, changes in conditions, and revisions of rates. Here, it is important not to settle for trifles, but to systematically bargain for your time, knowledge, and results, because 2026 will test Aries precisely in their ability to value themselves highly. In the first part of the year, the theme of professional changes is very clearly defined. Many Aries are offered new roles, expanded responsibilities, and a transition to a related field. And this is not a story where you should grab the first opportunity that comes along. The prophetic logic of the year for this sign speaks of a choice between 2 scenarios: stable but limited work and a risky but breakthrough direction, where there are no clear guarantees, but there is the potential to increase income several times over, and it is this second vector that is considered the real path to great wealth. Aries are advised not to spend the first months of the year on chaotic actions, but to sit down and coldly calculate their skills, contacts, market demand. Identify 3 or 4 key areas of income that can be scaled, and lay the groundwork at the start of the year. Start a business, file paperwork, enter international markets, switch from hourly to project-based work, and agree on a percentage of the result rather than a fixed fee. For this sign, 2026 shows a clear trend. The more you tie your income to a percentage of turnover, sales, or project budgets, the more significant your financial leap will be. Where Aries agrees to a fixed rate, the money seems to be there. But there is no breakthrough. In the middle of the year, the factor of bold decisions becomes particularly strong. For some, this means moving to another city or country for a more lucrative contract. For others, it means leaving a toxic partnership. And for others, it means starting their own business, which has been put off for years due to fear of instability. And this is where the transformational logic of predictions manifests itself. The sign gets the opportunity to break out of the cycle of constant employment without savings and move to a model where time and resources work for it. An important focus of the year is a tough financial sieve. Aries will have to learn to distinguish real opportunities from beautiful but empty promises. There are many dubious investment offers, quick money schemes, pyramid-like stories appearing in the field, and here the condition is clearly visible. If a representative of this sign succumbs to the temptation of easy money, the year will turn into a roller coaster of losses, payment delays, conflicts, and legal risks, while a careful, cool-headed approach, checking documents, legal conditions, and real figures will allow them to cut out everything unnecessary and invest their capital in stable areas. The topic of debt stands out separately. If Aries enters the year with loans, accumulated obligations, and unresolved financial issues, it is 2026 that provides an opportunity to close them through restructuring, early payments, negotiations on changing conditions. And here the main thing is not to hide from conversations, but to engage in dialogue, offer specific options, build a plan with clear amounts and deadlines. Because in the predictions, this sign receives support precisely when it looks openly at the numbers and does not shy away from responsibility. The strong resource of the year is people. Specific partners, mentors, and customers appear alongside Aries, who are willing to pay significantly more for quality and speed. And it is important for them not to get distracted by small tasks, but to build a pool of several key clients or projects around which the main cash flow is formed. Here it is appropriate to review your own price list, spell out the terms of cooperation, and learn to say no to those who want a lot for free, because it is through the word no that Aries frees up space for big deals. Throughout the year, the topic of expanding sources of income will become more active. The prophetic vector indicates that true wealth for this sign lies not in one employer or one business, but in several parallel directions. The main activity, one or two additional projects, passive instruments such as rent, royalties, online products that are sold without constant presence. Therefore, at key stages of the year, it is worth investing time and resources in creating something that will bring in money regardless of daily efforts. A digital product, an author's course, a franchise, an affiliate program, or your own brand. The topic of large purchases is also very specific. It is expected that in 2026, many Aries will have the chance to move to a qualitatively different level, from renting to owning their own home, from an old car to a more reliable one, from primitive equipment to professional technology that increases earnings. But there is one condition. Do not buy something that is barely affordable, but buy with the prospect that the investment will work for income and not create an additional burden. A separate emphasis is on discipline. Without a structured approach to money planning, even the largest profits can be eroded over the course of a year, so Aries should set up a financial system, accounting for income and expenses, a percentage that is immediately set aside, a portion that goes toward development, clear limits on impulse purchases. Because forecasts show that the main risk for this sign in 2026 is not a lack of opportunities, but the fact that money comes in waves and can disappear just as quickly if you don't create containers for it in the form of savings and growth instruments. An important theme of the year is personal image and reputation. The more professional an Aries looks in their field, the more they are valued. This applies to their portfolio, online presence, communication style, adherence to deadlines, and negotiation skills. The logic here is very straightforward. Those who keep their word, see projects through to completion, and do not disappear at critical moments will gain access to large sums of money through recommendations, repeat orders, and exclusive offers, often without open competitions. Throughout the year, you may feel that the workload is too heavy. Several projects at once, constant calls, emails, deadlines. And it is at these moments that it is important to remember the main idea. 2026 is not about comfort, but about reaching a new level of income through focus, selecting priority areas, and a willingness to work smarter, not just harder. Delegation, automation, and the use of time-saving services are not a luxury, but a necessity. And thanks to this, Aries gradually moves from the "everything is on me" mode to a model where the system works even when they are resting. In the final part of the year, many representatives of the sign will have the opportunity to see concrete results. A several-fold increase in income compared to previous years, accumulated financial reserves, first investments, a sense of inner support when money ceases to be a constant source of tension and becomes a tool for realizing plans. And it is this transformation that is described in prophetic schemes as a sign that Aries has realized its potential as one of the 3 signs for which 2026 will be a year of real, tangible, rather than theoretical wealth, based not on chance, but on consistent decisions, the courage to take responsibility, and the willingness to act when others hesitate. Taurus. In 2026, Taurus will enter a phase when money will cease to be an abstract dream and begin to turn into concrete sums in accounts, in wallets, in property that can be held in one's hands. Already in January, this sign will feel that financial signals will be gathering around it. Talks about new projects, offers of side jobs, ideas for joint ventures, and the first hints of a raise. In February, Taurus will be faced with a choice of how to generate income. Continue to stick to the old model, where a lot of effort will bring relatively modest results, or agree to an option where the responsibility will be higher, but the money will be significantly greater. In interpretations of Nostradamus's prophecies, this sign will approach the status of a person who will be able to multiply resources not through luck, but through very specific actions. And this is what will make them a contender for true wealth. Throughout January and February, Taurus will carefully review their financial situation. They will change their approach to spending, begin to track where every 100 units of currency go, and notice that just by putting their basic affairs in order, they will be able to free up additional resources for savings, investments, and development. In March, opportunities to earn money from new sources will open up for this sign. Some Taurus will start their own small business, some will turn their hobby into a paid activity, and some will agree to work in another city or even country where the pay will be significantly higher. During this period, the universe will test Taurus's readiness to go beyond the familiar. If they stick to old patterns, the year will develop more slowly. If they take calculated risks, 2026 will begin to accelerate and put them on the path to prosperity. April will bring Taurus the first clear signs that they are moving in the right direction. There will be more money in their accounts than usual. Large payments will come in for completed projects, and contracts with more favorable rates will be agreed upon. In May, this sign will have the chance to turn their earnings into capital. Opportunities will arise to purchase property, invest in land, participate in joint ventures, open their own retail outlets, online projects, or services. An important point will be that the prophetic logic of 2026 for Taurus will require them not to chase short-term money, but to build a structure, clearly dividing money into everyday needs, reserves, development, and long-term investments. Taurus, who will make it a rule to set aside at least part of each income in a separate growth fund, will see in May to June how small amounts will form a safety cushion and then a basis for serious decisions. In June, the issue of professional status will become more acute for this sign. At work, Taurus will feel that they no longer want to put up with the role of a quiet workhorse who does a lot and gets little in return. They will prepare arguments, collect results, raise the issue of promotion, and where management is willing to listen, they will receive either more money or a higher position. Where doors close in the second half of the year, Taurus will look for other companies, other markets, see other countries. And it is this step that will take them out of the ranks of ordinary employees and into the category of people who can afford to choose from among offers. For Taurus entrepreneurs, June and July will be a period of scaling up, increasing turnover, expanding the product range, going online, entering other regions, attracting partners and investors. The principle will work very clearly here. The bolder Taurus thinks in terms of the system rather than small sales, the closer their business will get to a level where monthly amounts will differ from previous years by several times. July will be a month when reputation will be added to money. Customers, partners, and employers will be watching how Taurus fulfills its obligations, and it is at this time that small details will matter. Documents sent on time, neatly formatted reports, and product quality will be converted into bonuses, premiums, and additional orders. In July and August, many representatives of this sign will receive invitations to cooperate without public vacancies through recommendations, word of mouth, and personal acquaintances. This will be a direct reflection of the labor and financial line that Taurus will build from the beginning of the year. In August, this sign will face another strategic decision: how to deal with their savings. Some Taurus will be tempted to spend a significant amount on emotional purchases, cars, technology, expensive leisure activities. Others will understand that 2026 will be special for them when most of their excess money is working for them rather than disappearing. The prophetic vector of the year for this sign will push them toward the second option: investing in education, their own business, real estate, and creating passive income streams. September will remind Taurus that wealth is not just numbers, but also the ability not to lose what you have earned. During this period, many representatives of this sign will face risks, dubious contracts, the temptation to invest in obscure projects that promise excessively high interest rates, pressure from acquaintances who will invite them into schemes. If Taurus succumbs to these stories, part of their resources will disappear. If they stick to rational decisions, consult with experts, and check documents, they will emerge from September even stronger, with a clear understanding of who can be trusted and who cannot. In October, Taurus will collect the financial results of the year in a more visual form: account balances, income growth, new sources, and reduced debts. For some, this will be the moment when they manage to pay off their loans completely. For others, it will be the month when buying a home becomes a reality. For others, it will be the time when they sign a contract that will secure the next few years. November will be a period when material achievements will be complemented by inner confidence. Taurus will notice that they are no longer afraid to look at numbers, accounts, contracts, and taxes. They will realize that they have learned to talk about money without shame or fear, to ask for fair pay, to discuss terms, and to offer win-win cooperation options. During this period, this sign will approach the level that Nostradamus described as the ability of a person not only to receive, but also to manage flows. November will be favorable for systematization. Taurus will formalize official structures, register businesses, create funds, open separate accounts for different purposes, and work with consultants to optimize their tax burden and protect themselves legally. It is thanks to such steps that their money will transition from the status of just earnings to the status of capital. December 2026 will be a month when the picture becomes particularly clear for Taurus. They will look back on January and understand how far they have come from that starting point. Their income for the year will be significantly higher. Their financial structure will be clearer. and their sources of income will be more diverse. In December, many representatives of this sign will allow themselves to purchase what previously seemed unattainable, and they will do so without feeling guilty, because they will still have reserves and a development plan for the coming periods. At the same time, Taurus will not stop in December. They will think about how to turn the experience of 2026 into a basis for even greater results. They will understand which decisions will prove to be the strongest, which investments will be the most successful, with which people it is worth continuing to work, and with whom it is worth ending cooperation. Throughout 2026, the theme of stable growth will be particularly prominent in the life of this sign. Taurus will not chase instant wins. Their path to wealth will be built on dozens of concrete steps: renegotiated contracts, increased rates, new products, expanded services, and thoughtful investments. They will move forward calmly but steadily. While other signs dream of sudden wins, Taurus will do what it takes every month to increase its income and capital by at least a few percent. It is this systematic accumulation of strength that will make it one of the few for whom Nostradamus's prophecies of great wealth in 2026 will take real shape. Taurus will build their life in such a way that money will no longer control them, but will become a tool for freedom. Freedom to choose where to live, how to work, how to educate their children, the quality of healthcare, and their standard of living. And step by step, from January to December, he will move from the category of people who count every penny to the category of those who allow themselves to plan years in advance, knowing that his financial foundation will already be strong enough to withstand any fluctuations. Gemini. January 2026 will be a moment when financial issues will cease to be secondary and will come to the fore in all decisions for Gemini. This sign will take a new look at its time, skills, and relationships. And it is then that Gemini will begin to realize that their ability to think quickly, learn, write, speak, persuade, and bring people together will translate into concrete money. In Nostradamus's prophecies, it is Gemini who will be among the small group of people who will be able to grow their income to a level that previously seemed unattainable, and 2026 will open up just such a corridor for them. In January, they will set financial goals, not abstract ones, but with numbers. How much this sign wants to earn each month, how much it plans to save, how much it plans to invest. Gemini will analyze which areas of activity will be the most profitable: freelancing, online education, consulting, selling information products, working with foreign companies, and will begin looking for opportunities in these segments in the first weeks of the year. In February, Gemini will be actively negotiating. They will begin to receive offers to change jobs, participate in projects where the pay will be higher, but the demands on their thinking speed and communication skills will be more serious. Next month, representatives of this sign will confidently reject options where they will try to buy them cheap, and will only agree to conditions where their competencies and results will be fairly evaluated. In February, Gemini will adjust their daily routine. Less meaningless scrolling, more work with texts, analysis, creating their own content, blogging, launching a channel, and developing social media pages. It is in February that they will lay the media foundation that will begin to monetize in the coming months. March 2026 will be a month of first noticeable financial changes for Gemini. This sign will launch paid consultations, original products, subscriptions, small online courses, information packages, checklists, masterclasses, and actively take orders from clients who need text, scripts, strategy, advertising, analytics, translation, or promotion. Many Gemini will try several directions at once, and at first, earnings will seem varied, but by March, it will become clear which formats are the most profitable. This sign will understand that its main resource is not physical strength, but the ability to generate ideas and communicate them to people. And it is because of this trait that money will start coming in frequently and in different ways. In March, many representatives of this sign will receive their first payments in foreign currency and conclude agreements with clients from other countries, which will create the feeling that the scope for earning is unlimited. April will be a period when Gemini will change their work format. Some of them will stop limiting themselves to traditional employment and will switch to a hybrid or completely project-based format. For some, this will be an official transition to freelance status. For others, a transformation into a private consultant or expert, and for others, the creation of their own mini-agency. In April, a Gemini will keenly feel that time can no longer be wasted on tasks that pay little, and gradually a new rule will begin to operate in the life of this sign: to take only what corresponds to their level of knowledge and brings a decent income. This month, they will raise their rates, form service packages, introduce prepayment, automate communication with clients, and value their own intelligence more. May 2026 will be a month of scaling for Gemini. Everything they started in previous months will begin to have a multiplier effect in May. Information products will no longer be sold individually, but in packages, content will reach a wider audience, and recommendations from satisfied customers will bring in new customers. In May, Gemini will work not only to increase volume, but also to streamline the system. They will distribute tasks, delegate routine work to assistants, and implement templates, CRM, and automated letters. In terms of money, May will bring this sign its first months when total income will exceed all previous year's figures. Some will manage to earn several average salaries at once for the first time, some will pay off old debts, and some will create their first serious savings. June will be a test for Gemini in terms of financial management. When the amounts start to increase sharply, there will be a temptation to spend more than necessary. In June, this sign will learn to work with accounts, banking products, and separate baskets for different purposes. Gemini will open separate accounts for current expenses, savings, investments, and taxes. Some will consult with financial specialists to properly structure their income, formalize their activities, and understand how to legally keep most of what they earn. In June, Gemini will make their first targeted investments in technology, software, training, analysis tools, and advertising budgets. These expenses will not be chaotic, but well thought out and aimed at further development. July 2026 will open up a new level of contacts for Gemini. This month, they will actively join professional communities, participate in conferences, online summits, and industry events where people with high incomes will gather. It is through this environment that this sign will find partners, co-founders, new clients, and mentors. In July, Gemini will receive offers to participate in large projects, creating online schools, launching media projects, developing large-scale campaigns, and participating in international programs. For their participation, they will receive not only a fee, but also a share of the results, a percentage of turnover, a share of profits, and partnership deductions. It is precisely such agreements that will bring Gemini to the level of wealth mentioned in ancient prophecies, to a format where money comes not only for hours worked, but for influence and the systems created. August will be a month when the pace for Gemini will increase significantly. The number of tasks, requests, letters, calls, and ideas will be such that without a clear structure, it will be easy to burn out. In August, this sign will be forced to set boundaries, clear working hours, a schedule of meetings, and rules for communicating with clients. They will learn to say no when a project does not match the level of pay or violates their principles. Financially, August will be a month when Gemini will be able to see what income looks like when they work not only as executors, but as leaders of the process, organizing a team, setting tasks, controlling the result, presenting the project. For many, this will be the moment when the inner feeling of "I'm just a freelancer" transforms into "I'm a business owner." September 2026 will be crucial for Gemini in terms of long-term decisions. This month, they will make decisions about big steps, moving to a more promising city, opening an office, registering a company, participating in a legal partnership, or entering into investment projects. Many Gemini will consider options for investing money in real estate, an apartment, commercial premises, land. Some will be interested in financial markets and stable instruments with predictable returns. In September, this sign will understand that in 2026, their money will not just be earned and spent, but will gradually turn into assets that will generate new income. At the same time, September will show which relationships should be ended, those with people who delay payments, manipulate, make promises, and do not fulfill them. Breaking off such contacts will free up space for larger and more honest partnerships. October will be a month of consolidation and a noticeable transition to a different level of life. Gemini will see that their income is no longer one-off, but consistently high. In October, this sign will be able to afford to improve their living conditions, move to more comfortable housing, upgrade their car, renovate their home, purchase quality furniture and appliances, and provide for their loved ones. But most importantly, they will do this not through loans, but thanks to their earned income and pre-planned payments. This month, Gemini will set a new standard for themselves. What services they will use, where they will fly, what hotels they will stay in, what educational programs they will pay for themselves and their families. October will symbolize a radical change in their financial situation. November 2026 will open up the topic of status for Gemini. They will notice that those around them are beginning to treat them as people who create value and manage processes. They will be invited to speak, share their experiences, and participate in closed meetings where large sums of money and strategic plans will be discussed. In November, Gemini will talk about money in a completely different way, without shyness, without underestimating their requests. They will confidently indicate the cost of their work, discuss interest rates, royalties, and partnership programs. During this period, many representatives of the sign will sign long-term contracts that can provide for them in the coming years. November will also be a month when Gemini will be able to give significant gifts to loved ones, support their parents, and invest in the health, safety, and future of their children. December will end a financially pivotal year for Gemini with very concrete results. They will calculate how much they will earn in 2026, and the amounts will be many times greater than before. Many will see not just an increase in income, but a complete change in their financial reality. From unstable income to predictable large sums, from one source of money to several. From constant worries about payments to confidence in tomorrow. In December, Gemini will plan how to use their new level, what assets to buy, what areas to expand, what projects to close. This sign will continue to create systems that will allow them to earn even when they are physically resting. Online courses, books, author platforms, licenses, shares in businesses. Throughout 2026, Gemini will transition from chaotic earnings to the strategic creation of financial flows. Their intelligence, speed of reaction, ability to work with information, foreign languages, media, their skills in analysis and combining people and resources will be directly rewarded by the market. That is why they will be among the few who, in 2026, will not just increase their income, but will build real wealth, with real assets, influence, the ability to choose where to live, who to work with, and what to invest their energy in. From January to December, this sign will gradually build a reality in which financial constraints will become a thing of the past, replaced by the freedom to act on one's own terms. Cancer. In 2026, Cancer will enter a period when money will no longer depend on the moods of other people and will gradually become subject to its own decisions. At the beginning of the year, in January, this sign will review its financial situation. It will calculate the actual amounts that pass through its hands, analyze what gives it a stable income, and what only takes away energy without any tangible return. In the first weeks of the year, Cancer will set specific financial goals for themselves. What amount of monthly income they will consider normal, how much they plan to save, and what they will be willing to change in their work for the sake of significant growth. In January, Cancer will free up space from unnecessary financial obligations. They will pay off small debts, cancel unnecessary subscriptions, and cut back on impulsive spending that has been eating away at their reserves for years. In February, Cancer will listen carefully to everything related to work and business opportunities. This month, hints of new projects, other positions, and cooperation with people who know how to make money will come into their field. Cancer will receive offers that will require them to step out of their emotional comfort zone, move to another department, change their schedule, take on a block of management tasks, or agree to work with a more responsible financial part. And it is in February that they will lay the foundation for their wealth. Either agree to increased responsibility with corresponding pay, or remain in a proven but limited system. March 2026 will open up the topic of additional income for Cancer. And this sign will see that a single salary or a single source of income will no longer satisfy their needs. They will look into freelancing, private consulting, creating their own products, online services, and small partnership businesses. In March, Cancer will test new formats, their first paid consultations, helping friends for money, participating in projects where they will be paid not for hours worked, but for results. Some representatives of this sign will reach out to international clients, take orders from foreign companies, work remotely, and receive payment in stable currency. April will be the month when Cancer begins to defend its value more fiercely. They will stop agreeing to low rates, free rework, we'll pay you later, and opaque schemes. In April, this sign will feel an inner readiness to say, my work will cost more, and where those around them are willing to accept the new conditions, they will receive significantly higher amounts. Where they try to impose the old format on them, Cancer will increasingly look for alternative platforms for implementation. In April, they will change their resume, portfolio, description of their services, update their profiles on professional platforms, and enter the public space with more confidence than before. May 2026 will bring this sign, the first clear confirmation that the chosen direction is correct. This month, Cancer will see an increase in income compared to the same period in previous years. There will be bonuses, one-time large payments, and payments for projects that they launched at the beginning of the year. Some representatives of this sign will pay off old loans. Some will start saving in a separate account for the first time, and some will be able to finance education, medical treatment, relocation, or repairs without going into debt. June will force Cancer to look at money strategically. This month, they will understand that spending should follow a plan, not emotions. Cancer will set clear rules for themselves. What percentage they will set aside for reserves, what part they will invest in development, and how much they will leave for everyday needs. In June, the topic of investments will appear in their thoughts for the first time. not abstract ones, but specific ones. Real estate, land, work equipment, and tools that generate profit. Some Cancers will be seriously interested in deposits, some in conservative financial instruments, and some in partnership projects where they can participate as silent investors. In July 2026, Cancer will strengthen its influence in the professional environment. Its competence will become noticeable, and management will see it as someone who can be trusted with complex areas. For employees, this is a period of promotion, expansion of powers, salary reviews, and transition to the category of key employees. For those who are self-employed, July will be a month when the flow of clients increases, several important contracts are signed, and people appear who are willing to pay for long-term cooperation. Cancer will notice that they will no longer feel superfluous and afraid of losing their job. On the contrary, they will realize that it is their approach, responsibility, and ability to see things through to the end that will make them irreplaceable. August will bring the theme of resources and rest. By this point, many Cancers will already have significantly higher incomes than in previous years, and the temptation to spend everything on entertainment will be great. This sign will face the task of finding a balance between leisure and capital protection. In August, they will allow themselves to travel, change their surroundings, and buy quality items, but at the same time, they will not spend all their money. For many Cancers, this month will be the first when they can comfortably pay for a trip, vacation rental, or flight without counting every penny. At the same time, their inner sense of financial security will remain, as they will still have savings in their accounts. September 2026 will be marked by a change in financial thinking. Cancer will stop perceiving money as something unstable and fragile. They will plan several months ahead, writing down the amounts they will spend on business development, improving living conditions, education, and health. During this period, they will be ready to consider long-term agreements, renting or buying a home, renovating, opening their own office or workshop, investing in relatives' businesses. September will also raise the issue of their environment. Cancer will begin to clearly distinguish between those who are building alongside them and those who are only reaping the fruits of their labor. In cases where close people drag him down financially, borrowing, not returning, demanding, manipulating, Cancer will gradually cut off these channels of leakage. October will be a month of conclusions and new beginnings at the same time. By this time, many Cancers will already have a completely different picture of their income. Some will receive regular fees that are several times higher than their old salaries. Some will have 2 or 3 independent sources of income. Some will launch their business to such a level that their monthly income will resemble the annual income of previous periods. In October, Cancer will make the following decision: whether to leave their activity in the status of "I'm just working," or to bring it into a full-fledged business format. For many, this will mean registering a business, preparing documents, creating a legal basis, organizing contracts, accounting, and taxes. Cancer will understand that large income requires clarity and transparency in order to remain protected by the law. November 2026 will reinforce the social significance of this sign. People who previously did not take Cancer seriously will change their attitude. They will see that he not only cares for his home and loved ones, but also knows how to bring real money into the house, guarantee stability, and take responsibility for big decisions. In November, Cancer will receive offers to participate in serious projects as a co-founder or manager. They will be offered a share, interest, and the opportunity to enter the business not as an employee, but as a partner. For some representatives of the sign, this will be a chance to permanently leave the role of a person who only performs other people's tasks and move to the level of those who set financial rules. December will show how profound the changes of 2026 will be. Cancer will review their income and obligations, calculate how much they will receive in a year, what they can afford, and what reserves they will already have. In December, many representatives of this sign will be able to feel for the first time in a long time that money does not just come and go, but remains in their hands, works for them, and protects their loved ones. In December, Cancer will plan how to use the next year, what assets to buy, what debts to finally pay off, and in what areas to scale up their activities so that their income continues to grow. An important feature of 2026 for Cancer will be a shift from emotional decisions to conscious financial steps. They will spend less and less money to drown out stress, and more to improve their basic standard of living. Higher quality products, more reliable things, professional services, preventive treatment, and a good education. This sign will set a new standard for themselves, below which they will no longer agree to fall. Throughout the year, Cancer will discover something that has long remained hidden: the ability to be not only caring, but also coldly efficient when it comes to money. They will set clear boundaries in the family budget, stop financing those who live at their expense without any intention of changing anything, and shift their support to a constructive plane. Investing in education, joint ventures, useful projects, rather than endlessly plugging holes. It is this position that will gradually create a financial fortress for this sign. By the end of 2026, Cancer will be approaching the level that is usually referred to as a person will make themselves. Their wealth will not be accidental. It will be accumulated step by step, through revised expenses, new sources of income, professional respect, wise investments, and the elimination of toxic environments. This sign will learn to handle large sums of money without losing their head, to allocate money in such a way that it protects their present and strengthens their future. And it is thanks to this approach that in 2026, Cancer will move from the category of people who are forever chasing financial stability to the category of those who confidently hold the reins of their own material life. Leo. In financial terms, Leo will behave in 2026 not as an executor of other people's decisions, but as a territory owner who will determine the rules of the game. Already in January, the tone of money in his life will change. Instead of constant fluctuations between enough/not enough, there will be a clear vector of growth. At the beginning of the year, Leo will take a hard look at their income, what amounts they will receive on a regular basis, what is one time, and what areas will drain their energy without financial return. During this period, they will make decisions that seemed too bold a few years ago, changing jobs, asking for a significant raise, terminating cooperation with those who underpaid them, transferring their skills to another market segment. January will be the month when Leo sets a new bar. He will formulate specific figures for himself, the minimum income level below which he will no longer fall, and the target amount he will strive for throughout the year. In February 2026, the theme of status and influence will enter Leo's field. Management, partners, and clients will see that this sign will not agree to the role of a go-between. Leo will demonstrate the ability to take responsibility for entire areas, make decisions on which the turnover, profit, and reputation of companies or projects will depend. In response, the world of money will offer an equivalent: higher salaries, bonuses, and a percentage of the result. In February, Leo will enter negotiations not from the position of a supplicant, but from the position of an equal player. He will prepare arguments, figures, and examples, analyze the market, and demonstrate how much his presence in a particular structure actually brings. Where they clearly and dispassionately voice their financial demands, the conditions will change in their favor, Where resistance is too strong, they will consider alternatives. And in the second month of the year, they will begin to form backup plans. March for Leo will be associated with the theme of expanding sources of income. He will cease to perceive his salary or one business as his only support. This month, Leo will open additional channels: consulting, mentoring, paid consultations, personal branding, monetized content, and small partnership shares in other people's projects. The core logic of the year for this sign will be simple. The more they learn to move away from the time for money model and transition to a percentage, royalty, share, license format, the closer they will get to the level of wealth predicted by ancient prophecies. March will mark the start of a structure that will later allow them to earn money even when they are not physically working every day. April 2026 will bring Leo financial results for the first quarter, and at the same time, force them to make adjustments. This month, they will see which steps have already increased their income and which have proved ineffective. Leo will surgically cut off everything that does not bring in money. Projects with eternal promises of payment later. Clients who demand the maximum but haggle over every hryvnia. Partnerships where the profit is significantly less than the contribution. April will be a month of tough but necessary decisions. During this period, Leo will be ready to leave even a familiar place of work if they realize that they will no longer be able to earn the amounts they need there. At the same time, they will strengthen what brings growth, increase checks, reach out to stronger clients, consolidate deals, and negotiate long-term cooperation. May will shift Leo's financial focus to specific assets. By this point, many representatives of this sign will have already accumulated a surplus of money that will no longer be invested solely in consumption. In May, Leo will consider purchasing property: an apartment, a house, a plot of land, a car for business or family, or equipment that will increase productivity. They will approach this not from an emotional position of, "I want it right now," but with a calculation of what exactly will strengthen their financial foundation. In May, interesting deal options will appear: favorable installment terms, discounts at the start of sales, and the opportunity to enter a property at an early stage. This year, a successful Leo will not be someone who buys everything in sight, but someone who chooses a few items that are strategically correct. June 2026 will bring the topic of reputation and publicity to the fore. Leos will see that money will increasingly come through their name, through recommendations, mentions, public appearances, and personal contacts with decision-makers. This month, they will work on their professional image, social media profiles, portfolios, case studies, reviews, websites, and visual style. Leo will present themselves not as just another specialist, but as an expert who is called upon when results are needed. Increased visibility in June will have a direct financial effect. Large orders, invitations to projects with budgets significantly larger than standard tasks, and the opportunity to work at rates that differ from the market average. July will be a month of high workload and high paychecks for Leo. During this period, projects, deals, deliveries, and contracts will overlap. Leo will be constantly on the move: meetings, calls, negotiations, approvals, checks, trips. Financially, July will be one of the strongest months of the year. Fees, bonuses, interest, completion of major stages, debt repayment, dividend payments. At the same time, he will face the challenge of not burning out at this pace. In July, Leo will be forced to delegate some of his functions, hire assistants, hand over routine tasks, and build a system where he will only be personally involved in key areas: strategy, negotiations, and quality control. The sooner he learns to do this, the longer he will be able to maintain a high financial level without exhaustion. August 2026 will shift the focus from earning to preserving and protecting. When accounts grow significantly, certain individuals and structures will begin to show interest in Leo's resources, requests to borrow, offers of dubious investments, attempts to enter the business on trust. In August, they will work on the skill of saying no when money could disappear with no guarantee of return. This month, Leo will turn to lawyers, financiers, and consultants to formalize what they have earned safely and competently. Official contracts, written exit conditions, protected shares, insurance, all of this will become an important element of the new level. August will also be the moment when the first passive income streams will be developed: rent, interest, dividends, royalties. September will shift the focus to long-term strategy. Leo will look at the next 3 to 5 years and understand that 2026 will be a foundation, not a one-time surge. At this time, they will divide their activities into blocks: main business or work, partnership projects, investments, personal brand. For each block, they will form a separate financial plan: what turnover to plan, what margin to set, what risks to take into account. September will be the point where Leo will stop perceiving money as something that just comes. They will work with it as a system: analysis, plan, correction, reserve, diversification. It is in this month that many representatives of the sign will notice for the first time that their total value, assets, business, connections, will grow several times compared to previous years. October 2026 will focus on the theme of influencing others. Leo will not only receive personal money, but also distribute funds to their team, partners, and family. This month, they will determine how much they are willing to pay their employees, how to build a bonus system, and what percentage to give to those who deliver results. They will learn to be not just a money-making person, but a financial center around which the economy of others is built. October will also raise the issue of charity and aid. Leo will decide which projects to support, how much of his income to allocate to socially important issues, and how to do it so that the aid does not turn into a bottomless pit, but has an effect. This approach will strengthen his inner sense of power. He will not only provide for himself, but also influence a wider circle of people. November will be a time of cold revision. During this period, Leo will review all his financial ties, which partnerships are truly profitable, where resources are distributed fairly, and where people are trying to take advantage of him. In November, he will make several tough but cleansing decisions: to leave schemes where the profit does not match the level of responsibility, to close unprofitable areas, to sever relations with those who systematically violate agreements. He will direct the resources freed up in this way, time, nerves, money, to where the return will be maximum. Against the backdrop of this process, November will again bring a financial upturn. The channels that remain in operation will prove to be more powerful than they seemed at the beginning. December 2026 will be a time for Leo to consolidate their new financial status. They will be able to literally see the difference between before and after: income levels, number of assets, level of financial literacy, ability to work confidently with large sums of money. In December, Leo will sum up the annual financial results in figures: how much they will earn in total, how much they will invest, what part of the profit they will transfer to property, and what reserve fund they will keep. Many representatives of this sign will allow themselves large purchases and gestures, paying for housing or a car without critical stress, supporting their parents, preparing capital for their children, planning large educational programs, and setting aside funds for future investments. But the key change will not even be in things, but in state. Leo will stop living in survival mode and switch to wealth management mode. The entire year, 2026, will be a year for Leo when Nostradamus's motif, "only a few will be allowed to truly dispose of large sums of money," will manifest itself through concrete steps. They will not wait for gifts, but will construct their own income, raise the rate of their own labor, move higher up the management ladder, expand their business horizons, formalize assets, and bring their personal brand to the top of their niche. And it is thanks to this position that in 2026, Leo will move from the category of people who simply dream of wealth to the category of those who will actually create capital capable of guaranteeing freedom of choice and a high standard of living not only today, but also in the years to come. Virgo. In 2026, Virgo will treat money as carefully as they treat details in a complex project. Nothing random, maximum structure and control. Already in January, she will divide her financial reality into separate blocks: main income, additional side jobs, freelance work, debts, regular expenses, small cash, holes that she had not even thought about before. Virgo will open spreadsheets, apps, notebooks, compile payment records, and see how much money was previously simply dissolved in chaotic expenses. In January, she will set clear numerical targets for herself: what minimum income level will suit her, how much she will save each month, what amount she will consider a reserve, and what amount she will consider a fund for development. In February, Virgo will think more about how to raise the bar for earnings than about saving. The focus will be on work, job responsibilities, workload, responsibility, the real benefits it will bring, and the amounts she will receive for it. Virgo will make cold comparisons: what she will do, what other people in the market are doing, how much other companies or countries will pay for similar expertise. At this time, she will be laying the groundwork for talks about a raise, collecting her results, indicators, completed projects, and customer reviews. Where management is ready to recognize her contribution, she will receive a salary review, bonus systems, and new job rights in February to March. Where everything hits a ceiling, Virgo will simultaneously look for alternative employment options and opportunities in other markets. March 2026 will be the month when Virgo begins to turn her pedantry and analytical mind into money outside the format of a classic salary. She will take her first orders for consulting, analytics, mentoring, auditing, preparation of documents, strategies, plans, and projects. Some representatives of this sign will be offered help in putting their business, accounting, inventory, advertising, and management processes in order. It is in March that Virgo will realize that their talent for seeing the details and systematically organizing everything can be sold separately, and for much more money than they would earn within the scope of their job duties. They will register on freelance platforms, update their social media profiles, and clearly describe what tasks they will complete for a fee. April will bring the first tangible results of this work. Stable additional income from private clients or contractors will begin to be added to their main income. Virgo will notice that even a few well-designed projects can significantly increase her budget. In April, she will learn to set prices higher than she is used to stop underestimating her services, not to accept thank you payments, to demand prepayment, and to set clear terms of cooperation. This month will reveal the trait that Nostradamus associated with those who are able to seriously increase their capital: the ability not to waste energy, but to focus on tasks that give the maximum return. May 2026 will be marked by Virgo's transition from patching holes to creating a systematic financial foundation. She will open separate accounts for reserves, for business expenses, for investments, For big goals, housing, car, education. Virgo will introduce a rule. Any income will be divided into parts. Some will go to daily needs. A certain percentage will go to a safety net. Some will go to development tools, courses, programs, software, equipment, and some will go to long-term investments. In May, she will study where it is best to invest. Deposits, conservative financial instruments, real estate, co-financing in business, purchasing equipment that can be rented out or used in her business. In June, Virgo will reach a new level of work organization. The volume of tasks will grow, and it will become clear that simply doing everything yourself will no longer work. Then the key strength of this sign will come into play: the ability to build processes. Virgo will write down work procedures, create instructions, letter templates, checklists, project structures, and payment schedules. They will automate everything they can: reminders of miscalculations, invoicing, and tracking deadlines. In June, they will consider delegating at least some of their tasks to assistants, freelancers, and lower-level contractors. This will free up time for more expensive and complex tasks, and thus for even higher income. July 2026 will be a test of endurance and the ability to stay the course without deviating from financial principles. There will be so many orders, deals, meetings, and correspondence that Virgo will begin to feel a lack of time. At this point, someone will try to pressure her. Do it cheaper. Do it faster for the same money. Add this without extra charge. And it is in July that Virgo will learn to strictly weed out such options, leaving only those clients and partners who understand the value of her approach and are willing to pay accordingly. Financially, this month will be one of the most powerful. Project amounts will be larger, bonuses for results will be more tangible, and additional income will be regular. August will highlight an important topic for Virgo: the balance between saving and quality of life. By this point, they will have significantly more savings than ever before, and the temptation to tighten their belt and continue saving will compete with the desire to finally allow themselves something significant: a vacation, a change of residence, to higher quality items, or healthcare. In August, Virgos will develop a new formula for themselves. Part of their money will work for the long term, and part will work to improve their everyday comfort. She will choose not ostentatious luxury, but smart investments: a good bed and mattress, a high-quality desk, a comfortable chair, modern technology, preventive medical examinations, and visits to specialists who will maintain her resourceful state. September 2026 will shift Virgo's financial history into the realm of strategic decisions. At this time, she will be ready to discuss topics that she previously put off for someday: buying her own home, opening a separate office or study, registering a business or company, participating in serious business projects. Virgo will weigh the options. Where is it more profitable to take out a mortgage? How best to draw up agreements? Which tax regimes to choose? How not to lose money on fines and hidden fees? In September, she will pay particular attention to the fine print in contracts, and it is this attentiveness that will prevent her from falling into bondage. October will be the month when it becomes clear how much Virgo's financial weight has changed. She will be able to compare her income, assets, and savings with what they were 2 or 3 years ago, and the difference will be striking. In October, she will notice that she is already perceived as someone who knows how to work with large sums of money. People will turn to her for advice, offer partnership projects, and ask her to evaluate someone's business ideas or investment plans. Virgo will learn to separate pure mathematics from other people's emotions, to calculate real risks, potential returns, time horizons, and legal nuances. November 2026 will raise the issue of inheritance and long-term guarantees. Virgo will think not only about their own comfort, but also about what they will leave behind to their children, parents, partner. They will take out insurance policies, savings plans, long-term investment products, and possibly their first wills or family agreements. In November, they will discuss with loved ones how to properly register property to protect it from force majeure, conflicts, and external pressure. On a financial level, this will be a month when part of their earnings will finally be converted into assets that will work independently of the current labor market. December will end 2026 for Virgo with a sense of financial maturity. She will calculate her total income for the year, the amount of her savings, the value of her acquired assets, and the size of her reserve fund. For many representatives of the sign, it will be obvious that they will move into a completely different league, from the category of need to make it to the next paycheck, to the category of people who can plan years ahead, have a reserve for several months or even a year of life without critical losses, and possess something more than just a set of things. In December, Virgo will set financial goals for the coming periods from a different perspective. Not just earn more, but increase capital to a certain amount, secure a second and third source of income, and expand the share of assets. Throughout 2026, Virgo's main advantage will be a combination of rationality and perseverance. She will not chase instant wins, will not believe in easy money, and will not get involved in shady schemes. They will consistently build their wealth, day after day, month after month, through dozens of small decisions, from refusing unnecessary purchases to signing a large contract on favorable terms. That is why, by the end of the year, this sign will look exactly as described in the old prophecies about the few who will be able to join the ranks of the truly wealthy. Not by chance, but thanks to a clear head, discipline, the ability to see finances as a system and manage them with the precision of a surgeon. Libra. For Libra, 2026 will be a period when money will follow this sign's ability to bring people, interests, and resources together. It will not earn by force, like fire signs, or by consistency, like earth signs. Its main capital will be negotiations, agreements, partnerships, legally sound decisions, and the ability to make it profitable for all parties. This is what will put Libra in a small group of signs that will achieve a significant material leap. And in 2026, their financial history will resemble not chaotic attempts, but a gradually built contract by contract, step-by-step plan. In January, Libra will stop and look at their money without illusions. This sign will carefully analyze how much their current job or business will actually bring in, which expenses no longer make sense, and which obligations signed in the past will drag them down. A list will be compiled of contracts, loans, agreements, subscriptions, and debts that take away strength and limit opportunities. January will be a month of financial, legal cleaning for Libras, reviewing terms, requesting restructuring, refusing unnecessary services, and organizing payments. This cold audit will create the feeling that money is no longer disappearing into thin air, but is under control. In February, Libras will engage in dialogue. Conversation is their main weapon in 2026. They will negotiate changes in working conditions, rate increases, rent reviews, and new formats for cooperation. Where yesterday they remained silent so as not to spoil relations, in February, they will calmly announce the figures that suit them. Some employers or partners will immediately agree, realizing that without Libras, the project will lose its balance. Others will resist. And it is at this moment that the sign will begin to look for platforms where their ability to negotiate will be valued more highly. February will also see the first requests for one-time consultations, assistance in negotiations, support in agreements, legal or financial coordination. And this is where it will become apparent that Libras can monetize not only their main specialty, but also their natural gift as mediators. March 2026 will be a month of active contract circulation for Libras. They will sign new employment agreements, additional subcontracts, commission, agency, and partnership agreements. During this period, Libras will be particularly attentive to the wording, the size of the fixed part, bonuses, interest, penalties, rights, and obligations of the parties. It is thanks to this attentiveness that they will avoid traps when a lot of money is promised, but the actual payment is meager. March will open up another source of income for many representatives of this sign: participation in projects where they will be paid based on turnover or the amount of agreements concluded with their participation. The amount that Libras will be able to earn in this way over the year will depend not on the number of hours worked, but on the number and quality of agreements. April will change the tone of financial conversations. If before Libras asked for more than they demanded, this month they will demonstrate confidence based on facts, completed plans, increased turnover, and successful cases. In April, they will be the initiators of new commercial ideas, joint projects, partner online products, and joining forces with strong specialists of other signs. Here, it will become apparent that Libras will not only earn money themselves, but also gather teams around them. It will be typical for them to become the ones who coordinate designers, marketers, lawyers, and technical specialists. And it is for this coordination that they will begin to receive their share. April launches the process of Libras transitioning from the role of one of the performers to the role of co-organizer. May 2026 will highlight an important resource for Libras: publicity. In order for big money to see where to settle, the sign will present itself to a wider audience, creating or activating professional profiles, expert posts, participating in live broadcasts, public speaking, and integrating into existing channels and platforms. In May, Libras will feel that their every word can be converted into new requests. After a speech, letters from potential clients after an article, offers of cooperation after a recommendation, invitations to closed negotiations. On a financial level, May will be a month of stable but noticeably higher income than in previous years. June will bring the issue of balancing the amount of work and the quality of payment. The number of requests may exceed comfortable limits, and Libras will have to develop their own price list and selection criteria. They will refuse small orders that take as much time as large ones, but pay significantly less. In June, a rule will emerge. Choose tasks that are either well paid or will take you to a new level of contacts. All others will be logically rejected. This will make the month a turning point. The overall workload will decrease, and the average check will increase. June will also show that this sign is capable of delegating. Some of the preparatory work will be done by others, and Libras will focus on negotiations, strategy, and final decisions. July 2026 will be a month of big decisions for Libras regarding housing, office space, and other material foundations. There will be an opportunity to move to more comfortable rented accommodation, move to a better area, rent or buy an office, co-working space, studio, or retail outlet. In July, deals with favorable terms will open up, and Libras will have to choose: continue to save on the space in which they live and work, or invest in an environment that increases status and productivity. Many representatives of this sign will opt for quality. They will understand that meetings with partners, clients, photo shoots, consultations, and negotiations require an appropriate backdrop. This will not be a thoughtless expense. A better space will raise the bar for income, as it will allow them to work with a different audience. August will add the themes of international relations and foreign money. Libras will enter into cooperation with foreign clients, companies, and platforms where the pay is higher than usual. This will require languages, flexibility, and the ability to take cultural nuances into account. And all of this will become part of their capital. Some representatives of the sign will receive offers of remote work for foreign companies. Some will receive consulting contracts, and some will receive commissions for assisting with purchases, investments, and relocations of other people. In August, it will become clear that Libra's financial geography is expanding. Their income will no longer depend solely on the local market, and fluctuations in one country will no longer be critical. September 2026 will be the time when Libras seriously consider accumulating and protecting their capital. After an active first half of the year, the amounts in their accounts will be such that the questions of where to store, how to secure, how to multiply will come to the fore. In September, they will turn to financial advisors, bankers, and lawyers to choose the best instruments: accounts in different currencies, conservative investments, low-risk purchases that will protect against inflation and crises. Libras will consider options for purchasing real estate, residential or commercial, participation in proven funds, distribution of funds between several banks. The main task in September will be not only to earn money, but also to prevent it from disappearing. October will force Libras to look at themselves as a brand. The stronger their name is, the more expensive their participation in any project will be. This month, they will work on a clear position: what exactly they are good at, what tasks they perform best, how they differ from dozens of other specialists. Libras will start to manage their media more systematically, not chaotic posts, but a well-thought-out series of information that will reinforce their expertise. In October, against the backdrop of this strengthening of their reputation, requests with higher budgets will come in. Participation in large campaigns, long-term contracts, consulting for businesses entering new markets. All these stories will no longer be paid for as hourly work, but as access to Libra's thinking and experience. November 2026 will shift the focus to family and personal finances. Libras will talk differently about money with their partner, parents, and children. They will propose to organize a joint budget, agree on a fair distribution of expenses, and clearly define areas of responsibility. In November, many representatives of this sign will refuse to play the role of the one who carries everyone. They will stop endlessly paying off other people's debts, paying for other people's whims, and rescuing those who do not take any steps to meet them halfway. Instead, they will be ready to invest in those who also work and develop, in education, joint projects, and the launch of small family businesses. This will change not only the numbers, but also the atmosphere. The feeling that Libras are constantly indebted to everyone will disappear, and the understanding will come that they have the right to their own goals. In December 2026, Libras will approach the material results of the year with a different internal position. They will not only calculate how much they will earn in 12 months, but also see how the structure of their income has changed. Salary or main activity will be only part of the total amount, with a significant role played by partnership percentages, commissions, fees, royalties, and returns on investments. In December, Libras will allow themselves to take steps that were previously unattainable: purchasing their own spacious home, buying a car with the best features, giving large gifts to loved ones, investing in long-term education or medical programs. At the same time, they will not exhaust their savings. A substantial reserve fund will remain in their accounts, and part of the funds will already be working in assets. Throughout 2026, Libras will move away from the just-to-avoid conflict model to the fair and profitable model. They will stop sacrificing their financial interests for the comfort of others, stop agreeing to unfair conditions, stop silently accepting budget imbalances. And it is this, not accidental luck, that will increase their income. The strength of this sign will lie in the ability to find a solution that all parties will agree to, but where their own interests will not be diluted. Libras will build a network of contacts in which they will be valued not only as pleasant conversationalists, but as people through whom resources, projects, and clients pass. That is why, by the final months of the year, Libras will approach the status that people refer to when they mention the few truly wealthy. They will not only have a higher monthly income, but also the opportunity to influence the movement of large sums of money, receiving a share not only for work done, but also for participation in key decisions. In 2026, money will go where there is balance, clear rules, and healthy fairness. And that is why Libras, with their natural desire for balance and ability to negotiate, will enter the financial big leagues of their lives. Scorpio. In 2026, Scorpio will approach money not cautiously, but with surgical boldness. They will cut out the excess, venture into risky areas where others would retreat, and precisely because of this, they will reach a level of prosperity that until now seemed unattainable. Money for this sign will not be just paper or numbers in an account. It will be a tool of influence, security, and freedom. And it is 2026 that will open up such a financial horizon for Scorpio, where their inner determination and cold mind will directly translate into large sums of money. January 2026 will force Scorpio to look at their financial landscape as honestly as possible. They will analyze where exactly money is stuck in their life. Unprofitable projects, toxic partners, unprofitable subscriptions, pointless habits, loans with inadequate terms, are promises made to people who do not return either money or resources. January will be a month of radical decisions. Scorpios will break old agreements, close accounts that make no sense, and step out of the role of savior of other people's finances. They will draw up their own income and expenditure chart, understanding that anything that does not work to strengthen their position will be cut without regret. This will create a vacuum that will be filled with new, powerful cash flows throughout the year. February 2026 will bring Scorpio the feeling that long-delayed decisions can no longer be postponed. This month, they will receive signs in the form of specific situations, conflict at work that will push them to change jobs, blatant unfairness in pay that will provoke tough negotiations, a feeling that their level of competence is significantly higher than their earnings. In February, Scorpio will engage in conversations that they previously avoided. They will demand a different rate, transparent bonuses, and real percentages that are clearly spelled out. Where resistance is too strong, they will begin to prepare to leave, updating their resume, testing new markets, approaching foreign companies, looking for areas where their fierce determination will be rewarded much more highly. March 2026 will be the moment of entry into new financial games. It is this month that Scorpio will receive offers associated with risk and high returns, participation in large-scale projects, cooperation with businesses entering new markets, working with large checks, and managing complex processes. They will feel that they must either accept these challenges and enter a completely different financial realm, or remain in the zone of safe but small sums. March will activate their intuition. Scorpios will clearly sense where risk is followed by real prospects, and where beautiful words hide emptiness. They will agree to take on challenges where they can influence decisions, where they will have access to figures, where they will have a share in the results, and not just a fixed payment. April will continue the trend of entering deeper financial waters, but with a different focus. This month, Scorpio will not only earn money, but also learn to build a structure. They will create separate financial contours, one for everyday expenses, another for savings, a third for investments, and a fourth for risky moves, where they will be ready to rely on their intuition. April will be the month when this sign stops keeping all its money in one basket. They will open new accounts, study banking instruments, consult with experts, and sign their first serious contracts related to capital management. All this will lay the foundation for money to start working for them, rather than just passing through their hands. May 2026 will activate the theme of influence. Scorpios will notice that people with money are drawn to them: investors, business owners, entrepreneurs, who are looking for someone who can see the weak points in the system and strengthen it. In May, they will receive invitations to join projects as someone who will put things in order, be responsible for security, control, and strategic decisions. For this, they will be offered not just a salary, but a share, a percentage of what is saved or multiplied. During this period, Scorpios will learn to negotiate for their participation, not to agree to the minimum when serious turnover is at stake, but to demand an appropriate share in the structure. It is in May that many representatives of this sign will begin to move towards the status of co-owner rather than employee. June 2026 will be a test of financial endurance. There will be so many projects, clients, and deals that there will be a temptation to grab everything at once. This is where the key trait of Scorpio will come into play: the ability to give up the superfluous, even if it is real money. In June, they will cut out small and medium-sized tasks that take up time and nerves but do not lead to large-scale growth. They will leave only those areas where large sums are already involved, or where there is very real potential for rapid growth. June will force Scorpios to delegate, even if it is difficult for them to entrust part of the work to others. Without transferring routine functions, they will not be able to maintain a high level of financial flow management. July will be the month of the first very tangible results. It is at this time that Scorpio will receive large payments for successfully completed stages, bonuses for exceeding plans, interest from deals, and dividends from participation in joint ventures. Amounts will begin to appear in accounts that they would not have seen even cumulatively over several months in previous years. At the same time, July will bring with it another task: not to let money become a weakness. Scorpio will learn to remain cool when looking at large numbers. They will not rush to spend their earnings on ostentatious luxury, but will perceive each amount as a resource that will either strengthen or weaken their position. August 2026 will shift the focus toward large purchases and investments in material assets. Scorpios will consider serious deals, buying a home or land, expanding production facilities, purchasing expensive equipment, or opening a new line of business. During this period, they will be offered various options, from classic banking products to joint investments with partners. Scorpios will be able to distinguish between instruments that work for them and those that bind them to debt obligations. August will be the month when they take at least one step that will change their financial architecture for years to come: registering real estate, entering into a stable investment project, or purchasing an asset that will begin to generate regular income. September 2026 will give Scorpio the opportunity to look at their resources more broadly than just through the prism of money. At this time, they will see that their main capital is not only the amount in their account, but also their influence, connections, information, and strategic thinking. In September, they will be approached not just as a partner in a deal, but as someone who can assess risks, analyze the situation, and point out strengths and weaknesses. They will participate in closed meetings where budgets, new directions, and the redistribution of shares will be discussed. For participating in such processes, Scorpio will receive not one-time fees, but long-term financial flows, a share of the profits, access to insider information, and the opportunity to get involved in promising projects at the start. October will be a month when another important topic will be added to financial achievements: risk control. The higher the level of income, the more attention will need to be paid to legal details, tax issues, and transaction security. In October, Scorpio will actively work with lawyers, accountants, auditors, and security consultants. They will review contracts, digitize processes, bring shadow areas into the legal field, and close vulnerabilities in business and personal finances. This will not only preserve their earnings, but also protect them from sudden blows, fines, blockages, and conflicts with government agencies or partners. November 2026 will take Scorpio to an even higher level of confidence. They will know exactly how much they have in assets, where their reserves are, and which sources of income will continue to work even when they temporarily slow down. In November, they will allow themselves more to invest in health, long-term education, top-level mentors, and expanding their personal team. They will surround themselves with people who will strengthen them: lawyers, financiers, assistants, technical specialists, and analysts. This will no longer be a story about one person carrying everything on their shoulders. It will be a model where Scorpio will manage a complex but well-oiled financial machine. December 2026 will complete the picture. Scorpio will look back on the past year through specific indicators: total income, investment amounts, asset value, reserves, and the number of sources that will bring in money regardless of his daily presence. They will see that the difference between the start and end of the year is not a random gain, but the result of decisive steps, intelligence, and the ability to tackle issues that would scare others. In December, many representatives of this sign will be able to afford what they have been thinking about for a long time: changing their country of residence, moving their family to a safer and more comfortable environment, creating long-term funds for their children, supporting their parents, launching a fund or project that will combine profit and value for others. Throughout 2026, Scorpio will approach finances in the same way they approach life crises: without illusions, without fear of dark areas, with a willingness to look where others dare not. They will take on tasks that require courage, confrontation, and clear decisions, and it is for this that they will receive the most money. They will be able to get out of any financial hole because they will see not only the surface, but also the hidden mechanisms that drive cash flows. And by the end of 2026, Scorpio will have formed a system around themselves in which money will no longer be a random guest, but will become a loyal ally that will work for them every day, anywhere in the world, giving them the most important thing: an inner sense of strength and independence. Sagittarius. For Sagittarius, 2026 will look like a long-awaited leap from potential mode to real money and great opportunities mode. Where other signs will hesitate, Sagittarius will agree to scale, movement, and expansion, and this is what will gradually bring them to the level of prosperity they have long dreamed of but lacked the means to achieve. The main feature of the year for this sign will be that money will come not so much through careful saving as through bold entry into larger projects, other markets, other countries, and professional heights. At the start, in January, Sagittarius will feel a strong internal tension. The old financial format will already be exhausted, and the new one will not yet be fully visible. They will sit over their numbers, income, expenses, to opportunities, and suddenly see that the main problem is not a lack of luck, but too narrow a field of activity. It is in January that they will have the thought, "I need to play bigger." This will manifest itself in concrete decisions. Sagittarius will update their resume, look for jobs abroad, study platforms for remote work, consider options for opening an individual business or their own company, gather information about relocation, dual markets, and international client bases. In February, this sign will hear everything related to the words new project, expansion, branch, international direction, and cooperation with foreigners. February conversations, correspondence, phone calls, and chance encounters will give them ideas and contacts that will later turn into money. Sagittarius will not be making minor adjustments to their life, but will be looking for doors to completely different financial halls. He will be offered the role of brand representative in another city, manager for the development of a new market, or partner in an online project that will work in several countries. He will not just dream, but actually go to interviews, send commercial proposals, and write bold letters in which he will name amounts that he was previously afraid to even mention. March 2026 will be associated with a sharp shift in Sagittarius's professional trajectory. Some representatives of this sign will sign a new employment contract or cooperation agreement this month, where the salary and bonuses will be significantly more attractive than in the past. Some will work for an international company as remote specialists or managers. Some will start a joint business with a partner from another country. And some will launch their own online product designed for several markets rather than just one. March will bring the first confirmation that Sagittarius was right to choose scale over local stability. The conditions offered to them will exceed anything they have had before. April will shift the focus to organizing cash flows. When the amounts start to creep up, it will become clear that old habits, mixing personal and work budgets, spending impulsively, not recording income, will no longer work. In April, Sagittarius will open separate accounts for business and personal needs, create spreadsheets or special programs for accounting, and hire an accountant or consultant if the activity requires an official form. They will learn to allocate each new sum, part for everyday expenses, part for reserves, part for investments, and part for the development of new areas: advertising, technology, work-related travel, education. In May 2026, money will begin to be linked to movement in space. This will not necessarily be tourist trips, but relocations, business trips, rotations, work in other cities or even countries will become a source of income. Sagittarius will sign agreements where payment will include bonuses for mobility, on-site work, and the launch of new locations. Some will be offered to move to another country where compensation is many times higher than at home. Others will be offered to travel frequently between cities to coordinate company branches. May will teach Sagittarius to earn money by being willing to change geography rather than sitting in one place and waiting for someone to bring in big money themselves. June will cultivate their ability to work with an audience. And it doesn't matter whether it's an audience of customers, training participants, YouTube channel viewers, social media followers, or product buyers. Sagittarius will reach out to people, launch webinars, shoot videos, hold public negotiations, present products, and speak at forums. Their energy, charisma, directness, and belief in the idea will begin to translate into financial results. In June, they will work on how they sound, how they look, how they present themselves and their project, because this will determine whether the audience is willing to pay. This month will see the first large payments for personality, fees for speeches, a percentage of sales that come through his voice and face, subscriptions, donations, and paid products linked to his name. July 2026 will test Sagittarius with multitasking. When several directions are going on at once, main work, side projects, online activity, negotiations for new partnerships. It will be easy to lose focus. In July, this sign will have to choose what is the main money vector and what is just a pleasant but energy-consuming addition. They will cut out the secondary things so as not to get distracted and miss key opportunities. In practice, this will look like refusing small orders that do not provide growth, ending cooperation with clients who constantly delay payment, and concentrating on 2 to 3 areas that provide the lion's share of income. July will be the moment when Sagittarius makes mature financial decisions instead of chasing every penny. August, in this story, will be a month of bold investments in oneself. Sagittarius will invest money in education that will open up even higher levels, expensive programs, international courses, training with experts who are not so easy to get to. They will buy equipment that allows them to work quickly and from anywhere in the world, improve their working environment, and update their wardrobe and image to match their new status. Importantly, none of these expenses will be thoughtless. Every investment in August will be linked to the question, how will this increase my income or protect it in the future? As a result, by autumn, Sagittarius will not only have more money, but also a different arsenal with which to enter the next stages. September 2026 will help this sign see that their life is no longer tied to one employer or one market. If they use the first half of the year wisely, by this point they will have several independent sources of income: official salary or contracts, profits from their own products or services, fees for participating in events, commissions from sales, and possibly the first results of investment decisions. September will be the moment when Sagittarius allows himself to think in terms of financial system rather than work. He will divide his income into sectors. What provides stability? What provides rapid growth? What works for the future? And it is at this time that the feeling will begin to emerge that, with the right support, this system is capable of bringing them to the level of true wealth. October will shift the focus to property. If all major purchases have been postponed until now, then now the issues of housing, cars, equipment, land, and commercial premises will be as acute as possible. Sagittarius will consider mortgage programs, installment purchase terms, joint purchases with partners, and investments in new buildings that will become either a home or a source of rental income. Some representatives of the sign will take their first serious step in this direction in October, signing a purchase and sale agreement, making a substantial down payment, or joining a project at the start. These decisions will further reinforce the idea that 2026 for Sagittarius is not about symbolic changes, but about serious material results. November 2026 will reinforce the theme of financial freedom. Sagittarius will feel that they can now afford to choose not only based on the criterion of how much they pay, but also based on the criterion of how much it corresponds to my values, lifestyle, and inner feelings. They will refuse to cooperate in projects that bring good income but destroy their nervous system, instead choosing formats where there is money, respect, and understanding. In November, they may reduce their working hours without losing income, thanks to the fact that some of the processes will already be automated. Online sales, subscriptions, royalties, long-term contracts. December will end the year with the feeling that the financial limit that once seemed like the limit of dreams will be exceeded. Sagittarius will take stock, how many new assets they have, what their real annual income is, how many months they can live on, even if all projects stop. How much money has already been invested in the future, in real estate, education, international connections, health. In December, they will plan their next step, expanding their business to other countries, launching new products for foreign language audiences, investing in high technology, creative industries, and promising niches. Sagittarius's entire financial history in 2026 will be based on three pillars: the determination to break out of the narrow circle of old opportunities, the willingness to work with a large space, geographical, professional, informational, and the ability not just to earn money, but to build a multi-level income system. They will not wait for a lucky break, but will create their own opportunities, writing to people whom others are afraid to bother, going where competition is high, but the stakes are higher, agreeing to a role that requires courage and responsibility. That is why, at the end of 2026, Sagittarius will look like a person who has truly jumped into another financial class, with new contracts, assets, and a life where money will no longer be a constant problem, but will become a resource for big ideas, travel, large-scale decisions, and long-term planning. Capricorn. In 2026, Capricorn will handle money the way an experienced engineer handles load-bearing beams. No random movements, well-thought-out loads, calculated backup options. Their path to wealth will not be like a sudden win. It will be the systematic construction of a financial system that will sustain them for years. At the beginning of the year, in January, they will ask themselves tough questions about income. How much will their current position bring in? How much money will actually pass through their accounts? And how much of this money will they be willing to consciously allocate to savings and assets? Capricorn will write down specific figures on paper or in tables, rather than abstract, "I want more." And that is why the starting point of the year will be as sober as possible. January and February 2026 will be a period of review for them. They will systematically go through all areas of expenditure: rent or mortgage, utilities, subscriptions, loans, food, transportation, small purchases that imperceptibly eat up tens of % of the budget. Capricorn will close some of his obligations ahead of schedule, review contracts, and refuse services that have long lost their meaning. During these 2 months, he will lay the foundation for growth. He will free up money that previously went nowhere, so that throughout the year he can direct it to places where the return will be measured not in days, but in years. At the same time, Capricorn will take a cold, hard look at their work, the true value of their time, skills, experience, responsibility, and how much all of this is worth right now. March 2026 will be the month when career and business issues come to the forefront for Capricorn. He will observe how managers, owners, and top executives in his industry behave and clearly see what they do for big money. In response, they will update their own position. They will offer to take on complex areas, be responsible for results, and get involved in projects where the stakes are much higher. Where necessary, Capricorns will prepare to move to another company or another country where their level, documents, experience, and endurance will be paid for differently. They will send resumes not only for local vacancies, but also for international positions, collect recommendations, and prepare case studies. It is in March that the first doors to contracts with serious money will open for them. April will give this sign the feeling that they are entering a new trajectory. Some Capricorns will already be accepting offers with higher salaries and clear bonus systems. Some will be signing partnership agreements where, in addition to fixed remuneration, there will also be a percentage of the profit, and some will be starting their own businesses, where the main focus will be on long-term development. In April, Capricorns will stop thinking in short bursts: monthly salary, project bonus, one-time benefit. They will think a year, 3, 5 years ahead, which contracts will now build them a stable income in the future, which decisions today will lead to capital, not a temporary plus. May 2026 will be the month when financial wealth begins to accumulate in their life. Income will no longer seem weak or unstable. Regular payments, bonuses, fees, and interest will begin to form a tangible cash flow. Capricorns will not allow themselves to relax at this stage. They will introduce a rule. Every large sum must be divided into several parts. One part will cover current expenses, another will feed the reserve, the third will go into investments, and the fourth will be set aside for a specific large goal: housing, land, business, education in another country, or medical protection. In May, he will begin to see not just the movement of money in his accounts, but the formation of structured funds that will provide him with peace of mind. The summer of 2026, June, July, August, will be marked by a sharp strengthening of Capricorn's professional position. In June, they will enter the category of people who are approached with requests to do something difficult and responsible, and are willing to pay for it accordingly. They will be entrusted with processes on which turnover, reputation, legal compliance, and the stability of entire areas of business will depend. Capricorn's June decisions will be directly converted into financial bonuses. In July, he will manage resources on a larger scale. Not only his own time, but also people, budgets, schedules, and plans. For this, he will have a different financial threshold: salary plus bonuses for performance, interest for savings, and bonuses for development. In August, Capricorn will transition from the role of a hired professional to the role of a person who decides where the money will go. They will participate in meetings where decisions will be made about which projects to invest in, which expenses to cut, where to open new locations, and where to preserve areas of activity. And where his voice carries weight, he will secure another bonus for himself: a share in the profits from the right decisions. For some, this month will bring the first form of partnership, when Capricorn will have not only a salary, but also a real stake in a business or project. The fall of 2026 will be a period of major financial reformatting for Capricorn. In September, they will analyze in detail how their income has changed since January. Total amounts, stability, share of regular payments, share of variable income. They will see that they can now plan for long periods without fear of setbacks. Even if one area declines, the others will provide a safety net. In September, they will begin to seriously engage with the topic of assets: real estate, land, shares in companies, long-term investment instruments. This will be the moment when the conversation about earnings will fade into the background, and instead, the topic of capital will emerge. October in Capricorn's financial history in 2026 will be associated with important deals. This could be the completion of a large purchase: an apartment, a house, commercial premises, or land, or the signing of a contract that will bring a stable high income for several years. Capricorn will work carefully with documents, rereading the terms dozens of times, consulting with lawyers, looking for weak points, and making corrections. They will not want to grab everything at once. They will strive to ensure that no line in the agreement works against them. October will bring them a moment of realization. From now on, their life will be based on different financial foundations. November will be the month when another important component will be added to money: time. Capricorn will clearly understand how many hours he wants and is willing to sell, and how many he will keep for himself, his family, his health, and his development. He will redistribute his schedule so that the bulk of his income comes not from endless overtime, but from the competent organization of affairs and the work of systems launched during the year. In November, they will begin to allow themselves to take on fewer lower-paying tasks and will focus on large volumes where their participation is needed at the level of strategic decisions rather than routine operations. At the end of 2026, in December, Capricorns will sum up the results not in emotions, but in numbers and facts. He will calculate his total annual income, assess how much of it went into reserves, how much into investments, and how much into large purchases. He will look at his financial situation at the beginning and end of the year and see the difference in income, savings, assets, and sources of money. Many representatives of this sign will have a clear feeling in December. They will no longer depend on one salary or one client. They will stand on several pillars at once, and each of them will be strong. Throughout 2026, Nostradamus's prediction about the few who will reach a true financial level will come true for Capricorns through their discipline and strictness with themselves. They will not allow themselves to live in illusions, nor will they shift responsibility for their income onto circumstances or other people. They will focus on increasing their own value, on working competently with contracts, on coldly analysing every opportunity. Each of their decisions, to change jobs, enter into a partnership, invest in a property, or reject a dubious offer, will be another step towards stable wealth. And as 2026 draws to a close, Capricorn will see that his name, reputation, experience, assets, and cash flows will form a single reliable system that can no longer be called simply earnings. It will be a complete financial foundation, capable of withstanding any fluctuations and allowing them to plan their life on their own terms. Aquarius. In the financial reality of Aquarius, 2026 will gradually turn into a period when money will begin to respond to his ideas, technological thinking, and ability to work with future trends, and not just with what is already established. They will not choose the direct path of worked hours, received salary. This sign will be characterized by something else. Monetization of non-standard solutions, the ability to unite people around digital projects, and working with a global audience. This is why Aquarius will gradually move beyond average incomes and begin to create a financial field for themselves, where amounts will depend not on their place of residence, but on their level of involvement in global processes. In January 2026, Aquarius will be putting their digital presence in order. They will update their profiles and portfolios and set up pages on platforms for freelancing, remote work, and creative services. They will review what skills they already have, what can be sold at a higher price, and what requires additional training. It is during this period that they will begin to think in terms of projects/cases/products, rather than just position/salary. By the end of January, Aquarius will have a plan clearly outlining the areas through which they will increase their income. IT, creativity, strategy, promotion, audience engagement, technical support for digital services, creation of online platforms or information products. February 2026 will open the first windows of opportunity for them. Aquarius will begin to receive requests from people who need technical or intellectual support, setting up advertising, creating a landing page, setting up analytics, automating mailings, coming up with a concept for a YouTube channel, designing a visual style, and thinking through the logic of sales funnels. They will test different formats: one-time contract tasks, hourly consultations, monthly or quarterly support. February will not make them rich instantly, but it will start to bring in a regular stream of small but frequent payments, thanks to which Aquarius will feel that the market is ready to pay for their non-standard vision and technological approach. March 2026 will be the first major turning point. This month will see the emergence of clients and partners who want to collaborate not just on a one-off basis, but for a longer period. Aquarius will be offered the role of permanent specialist, a person responsible for the digital part of the business, strategic development of online presence, product launches, and data management. They will begin to receive payment not only for specific tasks, but also for being in the field of the project. For some Aquarians, March will be the month when they sign a contract with a company or entrepreneur from another country and switch to foreign currency income. Already at this stage, it will become apparent that the link to local salaries will weaken. April will highlight the topic of scaling in Aquarius's financial life. They will see that their own hands will no longer be enough to fulfill the entire volume of requests, and the question will arise: to remain a lone wolf or to gather a mini-team around them. Aquarius will begin to delegate some of the technical routine work to other freelancers, leaving everything related to concept, strategy, negotiations, and key decisions to themselves. In April, they will act not only as a performer, but also as a coordinator for the first time. The financial results will not be long in coming. The amounts they will be able to charge for the work of a whole team of specialists will be higher than their previous individual rates. May 2026 will show the noticeable effect of this change. Some clients will be ready to sign contracts with Aquarius for several months in advance, paying not for a single service, but for a complex strategy, content, technical implementation, analytics. In May, he will form service packages and test different price levels: basic, extended, premium. At the same time, the first word-of-mouth recommendations will appear. People who are satisfied with the result will start bringing in others. May will practically erase the feeling of financial instability if Aquarius is not afraid to take higher checks and does not underestimate the value of his own contribution. Summer, June, July, August, will be his first big test of his ability to maintain a high level of workload without wasting money. In June, Aquarius will see amounts in their accounts that significantly exceed their previous experience. And it will be up to them whether these amounts become the basis of their capital or are dissolved in impulsive purchases. During this period, they will open separate accounts, one for personal expenses, another for business turnover, and a third for savings and investments. They will develop financial habits, setting aside a certain percentage of each income, keeping track of income and expenses, and controlling subscriptions and regular payments. In July 2026, Aquarius's financial flows will be even more active. Large projects will appear, where the budget will be calculated not in hundreds, but in thousands of currency units. He will be offered to participate in the launch of a new brand, the creation of a large online product, and the development of a complex digital ecosystem. They will be paid a fixed amount, plus a percentage of the results: sales, subscriptions, traffic collected. July will show Aquarius that they are truly capable of reaching the level of income they had only read about before. At the same time, they will face the challenge of keeping a cool head, not allowing success to blow away their internal benchmarks, not burning themselves out in an endless stream of tasks. August 2026 will help them shift their focus from money for work to money for the system. Aquarius will actively automate the most frequent processes. Some of the communications will be transferred to template letters, some of the actions to ready-made instructions or video tutorials for assistance, and some of the internal operations to services that take over the technical routine. This month will see the first products capable of generating income without his daily presence: recorded courses, configuration packages, templates, and solution libraries. They will begin to be sold in parallel with the main activity, adding another level of income. The fall of 2026 will cement Aquarius's transition into the category of people who not only earn money, but also manage the lower and middle tiers of other people's economies. In September, he will join projects as a partner rather than a hired specialist. They will be offered a share in digital services, online schools, media platforms, and startups, where they will be responsible for the technological, marketing, or strategic components. This will mean an even closer connection with big money, income in the form of dividends, percentages of turnover, and royalties for the use of their solutions. In October, Aquarius will change the scale of their personal life to match their new financial level. There will be an opportunity to choose more comfortable housing, another apartment, a better neighborhood, your own space for work, a studio, or a small office. They will assess how appropriate it is to invest in real estate here and now, whether it makes sense to buy their own, or whether it is more profitable to rent for now and direct the difference to other assets. In October, the international aspect will also become more prominent. Aquarius will seriously consider moving, obtaining a residence permit or citizenship in a country where better conditions for their profession exist and where they can legally earn high incomes with less risk. November 2026 will emphasize security. When serious sums of money are involved in their life, they will need to take care of protection, legal, tax, and technical. Aquarius will turn to specialists to properly formalize their activities, protect their accounts, draw up contracts, and avoid unnecessary fines and blockages. They will understand that wealth is not only about how much they have earned, but also about how much they have managed to save. In November, they will plug the holes, change passwords, set up two-factor authentication, switch to more reliable banking instruments, and insure some of their assets. December 2026 will be a time for Aquarius to take stock, which is unlikely to be comparable to any previous year. They will analyze how their financial picture has changed, how many income channels are working simultaneously, which ones give the highest return, which ones can be scaled up, and which ones should be transformed or closed. For many Aquarians, it will become clear that they will reach a level of income that previously seemed possible only for people with special connections or rare talent. The difference will be in one thing. Aquarius will make this a reality not through chance, but through systematic work with digital tools, global markets, and their own ability to see future trends before others. Throughout 2026, this sign will move away from the logic of, "I am underpaid, because that's how it turned out," to the understanding that I will shape the market for myself. They will create projects where their ideas will not just sound good, but will be built into specific business models. They will work with people who think 2 or 3 steps ahead and distance themselves from those who drag them into the mire of petty, mundane matters. Their main resource will be not so much time as thinking, the ability to combine technologies, people, products, and channels in configurations that will effectively translate into profit. That is why Aquarius's financial story in 2026 will not be like the usual, a little more income. It will look like a transition to a completely different class, from the category of people tied to one point and one source of income, to the category of those who work with the global space, exchange intelligence for large sums of money, and gradually build a system for themselves in which money will follow them, no matter where they decide to live and work. Pisces. In 2026, financial issues will no longer be a background issue for Pisces. Money will cease to be something vague and uncontrollable, and will turn into specific amounts, dates, contracts, and steps. Where this sign used to adapt, postpone decisions, and react emotionally to circumstances, in 2026, Pisces will begin to act like people who consciously build material support. And it is precisely because of a change in attitude towards themselves, their work, and their obligations that this sign will reach a level of prosperity that previously seemed unattainable. At the beginning of the year, in January, Pisces will stop and look at their numbers. They will not limit themselves to a general feeling of little/much, but will actually calculate how much money comes in each month, how much goes to mandatory expenses, which debts have been dragging on for years, and which little things constantly eat away at the budget. January will be a month of honest inventory. Pisces will write down all loans, subscriptions, and payments that are regularly debited, compare their income with the load they take on, and record the difference between what they actually earn and what they could earn if their work were fairly evaluated. At this point, it will become clear where the main holes are, not only in their wallet, but also in their self-esteem. In February 2026, Pisces will be forced to rethink their relationship with work. People and structures that are used to taking advantage of their softness will be confronted with a new position. Pisces will ask questions more often. Why does one person get more for the same amount of work, while another gets less? Why do they constantly remain in the role of a helper, but not in the role of someone who gets a raise? Why is their talent for solving complex problems not converted into corresponding income? In February, this sign will engage in conversations that have long been postponed, about a raise, a change of position, a review of the terms of cooperation. Where the answer is vague or frankly unfair, Pisces will start looking for other professional platforms without waiting to be pushed to the point of exhaustion. March will bring the first confirmation that the change in internal position will work. Some Pisces will already receive new offers this month: a move to another company, an invitation to a related field, remote cooperation with clients from other cities or countries. Some will take their first steps in freelancing, taking on private consultations, small projects, paid creative or analytical tasks. The main point of March: Pisces will see that their abilities have value on the market, and this value is often higher than what they are used to. Where they allow themselves to name real amounts, there will be corresponding payments. April 2026 will change the structure of money in their lives. Instead of one or two sources of income, additional channels will begin to appear. For some, it will be a combination of a main job and a stable side job. For others, a combination of offline plus online. And for others, a combination of creative services with practical ones that people constantly need. In April, Pisces will notice that they are able to earn money from qualities that they previously considered simply part of their character. The ability to listen and analyze, a keen sense of people, the ability to tailor solutions to individuals, creativity, and aesthetic taste. Provided that they stop doing this for free, these qualities will become a real financial resource. May 2026 will bring the topic of boundaries to the fore. It is during this period that Pisces will learn to say no to those who perceive their time and energy as a free resource. Friends, relatives, and colleagues who have been accustomed to receiving advice, favors, and services through connections or out of kindness for years will begin to hear different phrases. I can do this for a fee. It takes me this much time. Here is the cost. I am currently busy with paid tasks. May will be critical in terms of emotions. Pisces will have to endure a wave of insults, manipulation, and hints that you've changed. But it is precisely because of this screening that space will be freed up for people and projects that respect their value and are willing to pay. In June 2026, the financial picture will begin to stabilize. Income will become more even, and predictability will appear. Pisces will know how much they will receive at a minimum during the month, and where and how they can add to it. This month, another key point will become particularly apparent: the ability to plan not from leftovers, but from goals. Pisces will not just spend what comes in, but will first determine how much they want to set aside as a reserve, how much to invest in education, and how much to spend on large purchases. A sense of internal control will emerge. Money will stop leaking and begin to form a reserve. July will be a month of increased professional influence. Management, customers, and partners will begin to see Pisces not just as a convenient person, but as a specialist on whom sales volume, customer experience quality, company image, and product depth depend. In response, you will receive offers to take on a separate area of responsibility, lead a small team, manage key clients, participate in the creation of a new product, write or approve important materials. July will open the door to positions or roles where pay will be tied not only to hours worked, but to results and responsibility. For many Pisces, this month will be the point when they first feel that their opinion and presence directly affect turnover, and therefore, their earning potential. August 2026 will shift the focus toward personal financial decisions. Pisces will begin to think about how to use their growing income not only to meet their current needs, but also to change their quality of life. Ideas will emerge about moving to a better apartment, renovating, buying higher quality appliances, and moving to a different level of living. An important point in August, this sign will learn to combine comfort and common sense. They will not rush into extremes, either everything into a safety net or everything into consumption. Pisces will form their own rules, some for improving living conditions, some for saving, and some for development. Autumn 2026, September, October, November, will be a period when Pisces will make long-term financial decisions. In September, they will begin to carefully consider the topic of assets, deposits, conservative investments, the possibility of buying a small home or commercial space, participation in joint projects where they can invest at least a small amount, but on clear and transparent terms. It is at this time that they will shift from thinking, "I don't have enough," to "How can I take advantage of this opportunity with the resources I have now?" In October 2026, the topic of partnership finances will become particularly acute. Pisces will talk differently about money with those with whom they share their lives, business, and joint projects. They will define more clearly who is responsible for what, how much each person contributes, and what rules apply to the family or partnership budget. Where there used to be vague agreements and a constant feeling of injustice, clear boundaries will be established in October. This may cause conflicts, but in the long run, it is this clarity that will allow Pisces not to spend money on patching up other people's holes and to focus on their own goals. November 2026 will reinforce the theme of professional specialization. Pisces will more clearly define what they do better than others and what they are willing to pay top dollar for. Some will focus on consulting, some on creative products, some on analytical work, and some on emotional and intellectual support packaged in a specific service format. In November, they will give up everything that drags down their expertise. Small tasks, just for the sake of it. Clients who do not respect boundaries. Projects where you have to give a lot and get little in return. As a result, free time will be freed up for more expensive areas, and income will remain at a level that until recently seemed to be the maximum. December will end the year with concrete results. Pisces will look at their accounts, calculate their total income for 2026, the amount they have managed to save, the amount of debt they will pay off or significantly reduce, and the cost of purchased items and assets. For the first time in a long time, many representatives of this sign will feel not powerless when it comes to money, but rather an inner strength. They will know how much they can earn, what they can count on, and what opportunities they have if they suddenly want to change cities, fields, or types of work. In general, throughout 2026, Pisces' financial path will be based not on random luck, but on a profound internal change. They will stop turning a blind eye to injustice, learn to value their skills, determine a clear price for their labor, and restrict access to their resources to those who are used to just taking. They will build their wealth not in spite of their sensitivity, but together with it, focusing on areas where their empathy, intuition, and ability to understand people and contexts will become a competitive advantage. That is why, by the end of 2026, Pisces will be moving towards a financial level that is usually attributed to the select few, a level where there is stable income, savings, the first serious assets, and the feeling that money no longer dissolves into chaos but works for them, enhancing their freedom of choice and inner peace.